Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Simply Impact Summit. I'm Allison Peterson, and I'm so glad you're here in this recording. Today, I am talking about the 3 steps that new coaches, new instructional coaches, cannot skip. You can't skip these steps if you want to be set up for success. I am so glad you're here with me for this session. I am so honored to be a part of the Simply Impact Summit for, I think, the 6th year in a row now, and that is such a blessing. This community is amazing, and I am so glad that I get to be a part of it. So again, today I'm going to be talking to you about the 3 steps that you as a new instructional coach cannot skip. You have to make sure you do these if you want to be set up for the clarity and confidence that you need to have to step into this new role. So I'm assuming that if you're in this session that you are a newly hired instructional coach, or maybe you're an instructional coach who has been through your 1st or 2nd year and you're still feeling like you could see what kind of steps you may have skipped that could help you have more clarity around your role. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to this session. If you're an administrator or somebody else in that area, maybe a teacher who wants to be a coach, stick around because these resources are going to be useful for you, and pass this on. If you're a teacher who wants to be a coach, you are absolutely going to get some great insights. So stay and get to know the things that we have going on here. So let me start by introducing myself. I'm Allison Peterson, and it's so great to meet you. I want to tell you a little bit about me and my story. This is my 11th year. I just finished my 11th year out of the classroom as an instructional coach, and I have been on a journey into instructional coaching for this time. And through that process, I found myself wanting to help new coaches on their own journey so that they could find their way through this very murky and cloudy process of transitioning from classroom to coaching. So I started a Facebook group called the #NewtoCoaching community, and it's actually available for you to join. If you want to scan this QR code or go straight to NewtoCoaching.info, you can learn all about the community and get the link to the Facebook group. Also, as a part of that process, I was sharing multiple online courses and sessions. And so I turned one of those that I'd been doing for a long time into a book. So I have released my book, Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles, which is really there for the new hire coach to help overcome overwhelm and roadblocks and things that get in your way and actually get you to start coaching cycles. It's the model that I figured out in my 1st year as a coach while I was trying to wade through things. I just started I started going after the runner teachers who were really willing and interested in working with me. And that became the Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles model. So I absolutely would love for you to grab a copy of that book as a supplement to this session. This session is more focused on the 3 things that as a new hire coach, if you are transitioning from classroom to coaching, that you need to do like prior to getting coaching cycles started. So that's what we're talking about in this session. So one of the things that I know about coaches who are coming into this role or who are new to the role is that you start off in a world of feeling so excited about the new role, but also so nervous about everything that's about to happen. And you're worried about not knowing, just the unknown that you're stepping into, but you're so excited about the opportunity that you've been given to take on this new coaching role. So if you're feeling excited and nervous right now about stepping into instructional coaching, that is absolutely normal. I actually get that phrase straight from the new coaches that are in the NewtoCoaching community. When they enter into the Facebook group, I message them and I say, how are you feeling about your new role? And inevitably, everyone says excited and nervous. So you are actually right there with everyone else. And what I want to help you do today is actually step into confidence and clarity. So when you're excited about something, you really feel as though you are called to do this. You have had this opportunity to transition out of the classroom into coaching. You went through the interview. It all worked out. You got the job. That is so, so exciting. And you feel called. So I want you to step into that excitement, into the confidence that you can have when you bring to that. But also the nervousness where does that come from? It comes from the lack of clarity, like not knowing what this new job really is, not knowing where to start or what to do. And also the thing that happens with nervousness is a self-doubt, a feeling as though you maybe are not prepared enough to do this work like you thought. You need to learn the standards, or you've never taught the grade levels that you're going to be coaching, or you're moving to a new building so you know absolutely no one and you feel lost and you haven't even started yet. So the 3 steps that I'm going to talk to you about today, those first steps that you need to take, you cannot skip them, okay? You have to do them and they will set you up for success. But what they're going to do is they're going to help you get to confidence and clarity. And that is my goal for you in this session right here. So just imagine if you could get to confidence and clarity in a really short window. That's what this session can help you with. Okay. So I want to be a cheerleader and a mentor for you in this process, because I know that when I came out of the classroom and went into coaching, nobody was there to guide me through it. And as much as we expect our administrators to tell us what to do, we don't always realize that it is actually ours to own, more than us sitting back and waiting for someone to tell us what to do. That actually is not effective, and it leads you into a place of lost and lonely as a new coach very quickly. Like the first month of school, you'll hit lost and lonely if you aren't doing these 3 things I'm going to talk to you about tonight. And that's going to really, really support you if you're doing those things. So I am going to get to those things. But first, I have a story to kind of anchor us to. And I want to tell you about a Bible study that I've been doing. Now, you might not be a Bible reader, but you don't have to be to understand this story, because it's actually kind of a familiar story that you're familiar with. So give me just a second. I promise there's going to be a big mic drop at the end of this story. So hang in there. Okay. And then we'll get to the 3 steps that you have to do. But this is going to help you really click in to that confidence that you need to have as a new coach, this story. Okay. So are you familiar with the story of Joshua? You may be familiar with Moses' story, but when Moses ends up dying, Joshua takes over for Moses. And you're familiar with how Moses parted the Red Sea, right? Well, if you have read a little bit, or if you're not familiar, I'll give you the overview. When the Israelites left Egypt and were saved by parting of the Red Sea, they actually had with them a cloud of fire at night, and then just like a cloud at day that guided them. That was God's presence. And look in this picture. It's so precious. This looks like it is Moses, and then see the little boy standing next to him. That's Joshua. So Joshua has been understudying, learning alongside Moses for the entire 40-year journey that Israel had in the wilderness. And he's been seeing that that cloud of fire guiding him and Moses and the entire Israelite community through the wilderness. And so that was one thing that he had with him. The other thing that happened in the wilderness is that the people were given manna from heaven. So you had this. Joshua is familiar with a cloud that's guiding them and provision that's coming from heaven. This idea of it's going to fall. We don't have to work for it. We know that God will provide. We know we're out in the wilderness, but we know that God will provide. And it comes down every day. We can just depend on it. When I started this Bible study about Joshua, I was struck by something really powerful. When Joshua becomes anointed, so Moses gives Joshua the leadership before he dies, and he becomes anointed, and he goes into, he takes the Israelites into the promised land. When he does that, everything changes. So this way that has been for 40 years for Joshua and the entire Israelite community was one way. And now Joshua gets his calling, he gets anointed, and now everything is different. So when Joshua is anointed, they go in to the promised land. We'll talk a little bit more about how they get there in a second. But what happens is the cloud disappears and the manna stops, and everything changes for the Israelites. God said he was going to give them the promised land. So once they entered it, everything changed. And this is a powerful thought for us. And this is a powerful thought for us as we are thinking about going from classroom to coaching. One of the things that surprises coaches the most is how different this job is than teaching students. Teaching teachers is a whole new ball game, friends, and it is not easy. And so when Joshua gets his calling, he's been living an entire life leading up to the calling, to the turning point where he gets to take on leadership. It's powerful. It's exciting. It's a turning point for him and for Israel, for the people and for him. But what happens is that he can't stay and rest on the old ways anymore. He can't just lean on those things anymore. You don't have the pillar of fire and you don't have the manna anymore. And Joshua himself is told to be strong and courageous. And that is something that we've heard. We're familiar with that verse, but let's look at that one together. So Joshua's calling. This is God talking to Joshua about what he needs to do to step into this new role, this new land. Everything is new for him. And he's been waiting a long time for this opportunity. He's been prepared and ready. So God says to Joshua, I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I have promised Moses. So God is going before him, and he is already saying that wherever you go, Joshua, you will have victory. No one will be able to stand against you in all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, I will be with you. I will never leave you or forsake you. That's some part of the famous verse. Then be strong and courageous, God says to Joshua. He continues to encourage him to be confident and strong in this new calling. Even though everything is different, God is the thing that is still with him. And then he says, be strong and courageous because you will lead these people to inherit the land that I swore to their ancestors to give them. This is a powerful thing to consider, the calling of Joshua, and that his equipping has prepared him, and that even though everything is new, that he has to step into that with bold confidence, and that the words of encouragement are be strong and courageous because you will lead these people because you are equipped and you still have God going with you. So I want to encourage you as you're thinking about this story and how it really is hitting you, how you feel like you might have feel as though you're not equipped, but you had the opportunity to sit in an interview, to interview with a panel of people, and they chose you to be the one who would be the right person for this job. Whether you're an internal hire or an external coming into a new school, you were still selected in the same way that Joshua was selected to lead. Now, you're not the top leader, you're not the administrator, but you have a group of people who you will be leading. And that is the powerful work that you are going to get to step into. And the message is to kind of step into it confidently the way that Joshua did. Now, let me show you one more thing. Okay, so in my Bible study, this is what hit me. This is the mic drop moment, okay? This is where it said that they were given the land. So Joshua and the Israelites were given the land already, handed to them. They would win it. It was prophesied that they would win it, but they still had to take it. They still had to trust in the Lord and take the land by force. This was not like a cakewalk for them. So if you're familiar with the rest of the story, you may know that they actually, like Moses parted the Red Sea, Joshua had to help with parting the Jordan River. But the powerful thing about this part of the story is that the Jordan River didn't just magically part ahead of them. They had to take steps into the water before it would part. So as you see in this picture, they're stepping into the water with the Ark of the Covenant out of faith. And then out of that is coming the parting of the waters. So if you are feeling as though you don't know what to do, sometimes the thing to do is take the first steps and then see what happens. Then the other thing they had to do was the very familiar story in the Joshua story is the walls of Jericho. They had to do something that was a little unorthodox or a lot crazy looking, which is just walk around the city of Jericho for 6 days in a row quietly instead of fighting. But ultimately they still had to conquer and take the land. So even though they were given the land by God, they still had to take it and own it and step into their calling. And that is what I want to encourage you to do in this new role. If I can do one thing in this session, it's to encourage you to step into the calling that you have been given and trust and have confidence in that you have been chosen and that you can actually lead a group of people because you are equipped. These are things that we just have to really get over the nervousness for and step into feeling as though, okay, I may not know what I'm doing yet, but I believe that this work can happen and I'm supposed to do it. I feel called to the work. And so I just wanted to share that little story with you about Joshua. I hope it's encouraging to you. If you are interested, I will post the name of the book, but this is the one I've been reading. It's called Called to be a Leader, Lessons from the Life of Joshua. It has been very inspiring. So anyway, let's talk about the 3 steps that you cannot skip, because now we have confidence under our belt. We just have to step into the practical steps for how you're going to get clarity. Because if you can have confidence in your calling, and then you can do the steps that you need to do to create clarity for you and for the teachers and for the administrators about your role, then you will have what you need to be successful as a new coach. So let's talk about how we're going to get clear, because we have just worked on confident. We're going to be confident in our calling. We're going to step into it, even though everything is different. We're going to do it strong and courageous. We're going to step into the work really knowing that we can do it. And that actually allows you to do these next steps with more confidence rather than waiting for someone to tell you what to do. So we're going to step into clarity and confidence in these next 3 steps. So let's talk about step number 1 that you cannot skip as a new coach. This one might seem like, well, duh, Allison, but I have a very unique way that I want you to do this principal meeting. So step 1 of the 3 steps that you cannot skip as a new coach, number 1 is meet with your principal. Okay, meet with your principal. Now, some of you have multiple principals. I understand that. So we'll work around it. But if the step is to meet with your principal, what we need to do is actually step into this conversation with your principal with a lot more confidence. Let's say it that way, with a lot more confidence, because the typical way that you might go to step into this meeting with your principal is to sit down and say, okay, what do you want me to do? And excitedly be very willing to do whatever they ask you to do. That is one approach to a principal meeting. But I want to encourage you to actually be the leader of this meeting, to step into your principal meeting with more confidence in knowing what you know about coaching already. If you have not learned a little bit about coaching, you're literally in the Simply Impact Summit. So go watch more videos and then go to your principal meeting. Okay. But what you need to know about coaching is that there are some boundaries that you need to help everyone understand about your role as a coach. If you aren't protecting those boundaries in your role as a coach, you're going to find yourself doing anything and everything, which will lead you to overwhelm so quickly and will lead you to loss and lonely so quickly. So this is actually so important that you step into this principal meeting, bringing some questions about boundaries that are important for you and the coach, you and the principal to get on the same page about. So things where you need to have clarity are making sure that you have time allotted to doing the coaching work. If there are other tasks, other duties as assigned being given to you, you might want to ask some questions about those. You also want to lay out for the principal in this meeting what you have been thinking about for coaching so far already, how you would like it to look, and what kind of things. Because I'm going to guess that your principal doesn't have a lot of experience with instructional coaching. They probably were not a coach themselves. And so when you say, how do you want my day to look? They don't actually have an answer for that. And they may give you an answer that won't actually get you prioritizing your work with teachers. So some of the things that you want to do ahead of your principal meeting is think about what your schedule would look like. And I have resources for you for this. But think about what your schedule would look like. Think about what you would focus on as a new coach. Think about what kind of things you might present professional development about. And then as you're sitting in this meeting, you're also asking the principal, what kind of goals do you have for your teachers this year? What kind of things are you trying to achieve? So that you get on the same page as your principal in this conversation, but you're also trying to figure out your kind of like your lane. Where are you going to be working as a coach, and how are you not going to be veering and being told to do a bunch of different things that are going to get you off track? Some of the things that get you off track, just letting you know, get some red flags out for you. Some red flag things are intervention. Now, unless you have been hired to be an intervention teacher too, with a slash, like coaching / intervention teacher, you want to not say yes to, if you can, as much taking on teaching students through intervention as much as possible, because that actually will conflict with your coaching work very quickly. So if you are taking on a co-intervention coaching role, you can work around that. But if you're supposed to be instructional coach all the time, purely, then try to not offer yourself to take on those classes or those segments of students. The other thing that happens is just all of the administrative things that they want you to do, like maybe do the newsletter or send out certain things to faculty. You want to make sure that you are really staying in your role as a coach, which is actually step number 2. So let's get some clarity around your role as a coach, and that'll help you know how to have this principal meeting. There are some certain questions that you need to do. The goal of the principal meeting is for you to understand what the principal wants to achieve, and then you to confidently step into making a plan for how you are going to help that happen by making a plan for how you're going to work with teachers. So rather than asking what it is that you need to be doing, starting and bringing some of those things to the conversation, and then trying to find like where you guys are going to come together. So that principal meeting is essential. If you have multiple buildings, I am going to encourage you to try and have the principal meeting with every one of your principals. Now, I know some coaches have 11 principals. I get that. But every building is so very different that you're going to struggle to support that building if you haven't had a good connection point with your principal. And then setting up a regular ongoing meeting with the principal is also an important part of the plan. And it can be weekly if you are in this building, or if you have multiple buildings and you're sharing, it can be, biweekly or once a month, as long as you have an ongoing touch point. So building that into the actual calendar and having those on the principal's calendar ahead of time are keys to your success in getting clarity of your role and continuing to have clarity of your role. So number 2 is creating your coaching role graphic. Now, you can start on this before your principal meeting, but you can't skip this, friends. This is the most essential thing that you need to do. It's just kind of a matter of order operations. Sometimes go to that principal meeting first, hear what they want you to be focused on, then go create your graphic. Or create a graphic, bring it to the meeting and say, I've been doing some research. Here's what I feel like I should be doing as a coach. What do you think? And see what kind of back and forth conversation that creates. But creating a coaching role graphic is essential. A lot of people call this like a coaching menu. So it can be a menu. There are a lot of different formats it could show up in. I actually have a NewtoCoaching Padlet that you can access. I will tell you at the end of the session how you can access that, but it is all of these sample role graphics or coaching menus that you can look at. And I have a template that I've used for the past several years, and you can grab my template and edit it and make it unique to yours. But the goal is having a visual way to represent what your job is. This is how we get to clarity, friends. If you want to get to clarity, you need to create a graphic in Canva, make it pretty, and then be able to put it in front of your administrator and say, this is what my role is. These are and you don't know, you're not saying I'm trying to draw boundaries, but you are creating boundaries by putting it on paper so that you can always bring that back out and say, these are the things that I'm working on, because these are the things that a coach should be doing. And some of that honestly has to come from you, even though you're a new coach. Like I was just talking to you about Joshua, like he was given the land, but he also had to go take it. So you have to kind of come prepared to your principal meeting with a coaching role graphic and say, this is what I was thinking, and then get their feedback and make adjustments. We're partnering with our principal well so that everyone has clarity on what your role is. So once you've met with the principal, once you've created your coaching role graphic, the third thing that you cannot skip, friends, you cannot skip this third thing. Okay. This is big. This is big. Hold on. It is for you to actually introduce yourself and coaching to the faculty. So we are trying to create clarity by talking to your principal, getting clarity, creating a coaching role graphic, and now you're going to give that to people. You're going to use it to introduce yourself to the faculty, who you are and what you do. If you are coming into a role where there has been an instructional coach previously, I am still highly recommending you do this entire process, because whatever the previous misconceptions are that teachers have about coaching, we want to go ahead and debunk those like really, really fast. Maybe that previous coach was a lot more directive and wasn't and was more demanding of their time or things like that. And they have a negative taste in their mouth about coaching. So when you start the school year, you want to find a time to introduce yourself and coaching to the faculty. You just have to do like a straight reset. And that's okay. If coaching is new to your building, you absolutely have to do this. And if you are new to the building, even if coaching is not, you absolutely have to do this, because this is a way to introduce yourself and who you are and who you want to be as a coach, but also to help them understand that coaching is not scary and it is not evaluative. That is one of the number one things that you have to communicate to teachers. For clarity's purposes, you are not evaluating them. And just because you're in their room doesn't mean you are evaluating them. So those types of things are what you're able to quell by having a graphic and then having an introduction. So to get this introduction, you do that in the principal meeting. So you go in that principal meeting and you say, I've got this graphic. I've been working on it. I would really love a few minutes to talk to the faculty during pre-planning or whatever you call it in service. And is there a way that I could get a few minutes during that meeting to introduce myself and what coaching is? And I actually have a whole session that you can watch on the exact steps that you need to take during that session. You only need 15 minutes if that's all you can get, but if you can get 30 minutes, that's even better. So you're asking your principal for that time to get on the in-service calendar as soon as you have that first principal meeting, because once you create your role graphic, you want an opportunity to do that. So they'll probably be like, yeah, well, it'll be great. You can just introduce yourself. And you'll be like, that is so great. I would love an opportunity, but can I have 30 minutes? Ask for the minutes, because that's what you'll need to present this little mini session about yourself and what coaching is. And it goes so great every time, because it actually goes along with my model in Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles, which is a Kickstart PD. So at the end of your session with teachers, you do a exit ticket and you ask them a couple of questions about what kind of things they might want to work on with a coach. And then that gets you follow-ups to go and start talking to teachers to potentially turn them into coaching cycles right away. So this process is so powerful, and you have to go through and do each of these steps. You can't miss any of them, friends. Don't skip them, okay? You can't skip the steps. So let's go over them again to make sure that we are clear. Okay, so step number 1, you're going to meet with your principal. You're going to be intentional about creating an agenda, showing up prepared, and actually asking for more clarity around your role and providing clarity yourself around what the role should be and where the boundaries should sit. There are places, again, where you might kind of be pulled in different directions, and you don't want to be pulled in different directions. That leads to overwhelm. So you want clarity on your goals and what you're working on with teachers, and then you can run from there. So number 1 is meet with your principal. Number 2 is after that meeting or before it or during it, you start working on a Canva graphic that is going to represent what coaching is and your coaching role. It defines the role, it gives like a short vision for the role, and it has some ways that you work with teachers on it. I'll show you one here at the end. Okay, so your coaching role graphic, I have samples for you and everything you can look at. So you definitely need that. And then number 3 is take that graphic that you did and that partnership with your principal to create clarity, and now start creating clarity with the teachers. Tell them about your role. Tell them what you're going to achieve, what you're going to be working with them on this year, how you're going to be working with them, and help debunk the misconceptions about coaching out there in your faculty so that you can start having meaningful conversations with teachers. So let me show you that coaching role graphic that you can use. So this coaching role graphic is the one that I have used for several years. It is just one that you can pull from. You can create your own, but this is a template that you can grab and you can edit. So that link will be at the end of the session. I'll tell you where to grab it. So the role of an instructional coach. And then I have a little, at the top, I have a little vision statement. It says an instructional coach helps teachers achieve their personal and professional potential through partnership, collaboration, reflection, and opportunities for learning. So some way to just sum up what instructional coaching is. And then you'll notice that in each of the shapes here, we have the word instructional. One of the things that's hard about instructional coaching is you often get pulled in many directions, like we were talking about. Intervention, curriculum, technology, you get pulled all different directions. So trying to keep an umbrella of instruction over your head allows you to kind of keep those boundaries we've been talking about. So you're an instructional specialist, you are an instructional designer, you are an instructional partner in the classroom, you focus on instructional improvement, you are a learning facilitator, that's your professional development that you're training, and then you're an instructional data coach. So these are just some of the things that you're doing that you can help teachers understand how you will be working with them and what your focus is. And by putting the word instruction in all of these things, it helps to emphasize that you're not just doing anything and everything. Okay. You're not just doing anything and everything. You're not just here to help, which is hard for me because I always say that. I always say like, oh, I'm here to help you. I can't wait to help you. But the thing is I'm trying to help you with something specific. What is that thing? It's instruction. Sometimes we have to talk about curriculum so we know what we're teaching so we can figure out how we're teaching it. So that might cross over. Sometimes we might be using a cool new digital tool. So we might be diving into technology tools that you can use to engage your students to enhance your instruction. So I might be crossing over, but my focus is always going to be instruction. And that's what you're trying to do, trying to create clarity around and words to explain your role to the teachers and the administrators around you. So if you can walk away from this session thinking about the confidence that you need to have as you step into your new role, and then also the clarity that you need to create by going to these specific meetings, creating this specific graphic, and then asking for time to introduce yourself to faculty, that's how you can get to confidence and clarity. Okay, so in this short session, I can only give you like just the 3 steps, but I have way more for you. I have been creating content for new instructional coaches for 6 years now inside of my community. And I have an online course that will help you get started with a full hour-length video for each of the things we talked about today. So I really think that this would be a great first step for you to get into learning about how you can create clarity with your principal, your teachers, and yourself, really. So this online course is available for you with a special summit discount. So all you have to do is go to the scan the QR code or go to NewtoCoaching.info, and you will see on my homepage, you might have to scroll down a little bit, you will see a Simply Impact Summit form for you to fill out. So you just put your name and your email in there, and I will send you the information for how you can, I'll send you the resources for this session. So you'll get that link to that Padlet I was telling you about that has all of the samples on it, of all of the different ones that you've used before, or that new coaches have used before from the NewtoCoaching group. And then it'll also give you a link and a coupon code for $10 off the new Instructional Coach video course. So if you're interested in that, and then you can also get a link to my book on my website too. So everything's all in one place. So just go to NewtoCoaching.info, fill out the Summit Impact form, Simply Impact Summit form. You'll get all that information in an email. You'll have everything that you need, and you can reply back to me if you have any questions, because I'm on the other side of that email. And you will be able to get started strong. So my work that I do outside of working at a school every day is, so I still work full-time in a school, but I also mentor and coach new instructional coaches. So if you are just hired instructional coach and you are looking for a mentor or a coach, someone who is going to walk you through the process and some training, I have a full year-long program that you can learn a little bit more about. That would really be something that your school would pay for you to participate in for the school year. And I pace my training along the real life things that you're going to face in coaching. And then you get one-on-one support with me. So if you're interested in a mentorship, I have that. And when you fill out that form in that email, you'll get some more information about it. And so you can just follow up with that or reply to me and ask me any questions that you have. And my encouragement to you at the end of this session is to realize that you have to come over excited and nervous and step into clear and confident, okay? Because you can do this. You are called to do this. You are anointed and equipped to do this work. And I'm so excited for you. And I hope that Joshua's story encouraged you a little bit, because on the other side of the Jordan River in the promised land, God has given that to you. But at the same time, it is totally different over there. The manna is gone, and so is the cloud. And now you have to battle for the land. And so it's a little bit of a different ball game. But at the same time, you are going to be able to step into that with confidence. And the best way for you to be confident in your work is for you to have clarity in what is this coaching thing. So watch more videos right here in the Simply Impact Summit. Grab my online course, watch more videos there, work with me one-on-one for mentoring. We can create clarity for you so that you can truly step into that confidence that is going to help you be successful in this first year as a coach. So there's 3 steps that you can't miss. As a new coach, you need to meet with your principal, you need to create your coaching role graphic, and then you need to introduce yourself to faculty. And I have a video on each of those in that online course that I showed you. So I hope you'll go over to NewtoCoaching.info and learn some more. And I cannot wait to connect with you over in the NewtoCoaching community. So I'll see you there, friends.